Good morning. Oh, come on, you guys. That was sad. Good morning. That's more like it. Okay, everybody's awake now. Good. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe that there are many paths to the same truth, and we draw wisdom from science as well as faith traditions all over the world to help us learn how to live good lives and to help others lead good lives. I am the interim minister here, the Reverend Micah C. Ma, and my pronouns are they, them, and theirs. With me today are Wes, stepping in as a worship associate today. Thank you so much, Wes. And Karen Baggett, substituting for Megan Smith on piano. Thank you so much, Karen. Shout out to Susan and Barb on tech, who every week perform miracles for our Zoomers. And we always offer a special welcome to those joining us on Zoom. Cameras back there. Give them a wave. Hi, Zoomland. All right. Now, do we have any visitors in the sanctuary today? Raise your hand if you're a visitor, please. And if you are a visitor today, would you like to introduce yourselves? No pressure. I know I see some people with like hunted expressions all of a sudden, like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. It's okay, no pressure. It's just that if you would like to introduce yourself, we would like to bring you a microphone, because it does not matter how big your voice is. If you do not speak into a microphone, they cannot hear you on Zoom. We don't want our Zoomers to feel left out. So, any introductions in the sanctuary today? No? Okay. And now, Chair of the Adult Spiritual Enrichment Committee, Holly Rogers, has some announcements for us.
Good morning. Good morning. We have a second Friday coming up, and that means games night. Join us at 6:30 for games, both old and new, and birthday cake as we celebrate all August birthdays. If you feel like you're not sure what's going on at church, please make sure you're on our mailing lists. We have a weekly email newsletter, The Wave, which tells you what's going on from week to week, and our longer monthly newsletter, Our Coastline, has letters from both our minister and board president, new member bios, and more. And now we invite everyone in the sanctuary to please silence their cell phones, and all those on Zoom to please turn off your cameras to conserve bandwidth. And now, will everyone please turn and greet one another?
I want to see who else is there.
What do you want to do?
I was trying to see the errors.
No, you heard correctly. There's a penis museum. There's a documentary on Netflix about it. Beloveds, we gather today in the spirit of curiosity. We gather to acknowledge that there is much mystery in the world. There is much that we do not know, much that we cannot observe with the naked eye, or feel with our fingertips, or see, or hear, or taste, and yet these things are real. Things like love and compassion, like peace and joy, like confusion and anger. Those are the things that we gather to experience and honor here together. Will the people repeat after me, "Come, let us worship together."
Come, let us worship together.
And now I invite Wes to read our chalice lighting today. As I light this chalice, the symbol of our shared faith.
Today's chalice lighting is reading number 448 in our gray hymnal by Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
We light also a peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work. That peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. I now invite all to rise as you are willing or able for our opening hymn, number 123 in our gray hymnal, Spirit of Life. All right, and now I invite the young and the young at heart to come and join me up front for a time for all ages. The young and the young at heart. Come on, guys, don't leave me hanging. Okay, all right, we've got a couple of chairs. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it greatly. Oh yeah, I think it too. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Okay, now I'm wondering if anyone this morning feels up to sharing something that's important to them. Like, I don't know, having a good breakfast, or family, or rest. Like, I know that's something that's really important to me is family. So that's why last month I flew over to California so that I could spend some time with my family. I have lots and lots of cousins, and also my dad lives in Los Angeles, so I spent lots of time with them. And even though sometimes my dad is a little bit annoying, I really love him and I like spending time with him. So that's family, and that's important to me. What about you guys? Anything that's important to you that you'd like to share? All right, let's hear from Riley.
My 2 dogs and 2 rabbits. My dogs' names are Ada and Molly.
Oh my gosh, so your pets are really important to you. So you have 2 dogs and 2 rabbits? Wow, that's a lot of pets. Do you help take care of them? Yeah, when something's important to you, you help take care of it, right? Is there anyone else who'd like to share something that's important to them? I mean, don't all jump in at once.
Well, usually as a mom, I'm giving a lot of time to other people. So this weekend, I had a lot of time to myself and to just be at home and do whatever I wanted. Spend time with my dog, Groot, who doesn't get a lot of attention when I'm taking care of the children. So it's nice just to breathe and do some art and spend time by myself this weekend.
Oh, that's great. Yes. A lot of times we forget to prioritize ourselves, right? And us, the self, is something that should also be important to us, and that we need to spend time with and take care of too. Really good one. All right, I see Mark has a mic.
Yes, we just got back from traveling to Iceland, and it was wonderful to be frozen almost up there. It's great to meet people from different countries.
I don't think it's on.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, so Mark was just talking about how he was in Iceland, and it was delightful to be almost frozen there, which is the opposite of how it is here, which I've definitely been melting. So, is travel something that's really important to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's important about travel to you? It's on now.
We like to see different perspectives than we normally see in this country of ours, which is a great country, but there's just some beautiful ideas. The Icelanders love to pool. So you got a public pool, which is a hot tub, which is heated by a volcano. And you would ask people how long, when do they come? They come every day. How long do they stay? They stay for 3 hours. Wow. It's just a really good way to chill out.
So travel is something that sort of like opens up the world, helps us see different perspectives, expands our worldviews. Anyone? Okay, I think we have time for one more. So are you, someone else going to share?
My mother is important to me.
Oh, your mother's important to you?
She was there for me when I was very sick, and we've been the only people there for each other for a long time.
Oh. So how do you show your mom that she's important to you?
Lots of things. One of the main ways I show her is she volunteers with the food waste recovery. So I go Saturdays to the farmers market to help promote that.
So you help your mom with the food waste. Yeah, so one of the ways that we spend time with and show people who are important to us that we care about them is to spend time with them doing the things that are important to them, right? Take that back now. Thank you. So, this microphone might need new batteries. So, some of the things that were named that were important to people are their pets. Does anyone else have pets that are important to them? Yeah, lots of people here. Oh, Riley, did you look around and see how many people here have pets that are important to them? Yeah, and other people name family as a value. Anyone else share that value? Family, okay. And other people, someone named travel as a value. Anyone else here value travel and seeing new places, exploring new ideas? And self, taking care of yourself as a value. Anyone else value that? Yeah, so lots of people here share these values. And these things that we value, they're important to us. We spend time on them, we prioritize them. And we like to be with other people who share the same values as us. Isn't that right? Yeah. So what we've taken away from this time for all ages is that lots of people here share the same values, and we can talk about that with each other and see how that shows up for us. So thank you for joining me up front, everybody. It's a great time for all ages. Thank you. And now each week, we make space and time to acknowledge another thing that we all share, which is the human experience. Because we're all human, and because we're human, we celebrate the good things that happen in our lives, and we also grieve the losses that we all experience in our lives. No matter who you are, how old you are, the color of your skin, how much money you have or don't have, at the end of the day, we're all human, and we can't escape being human. And as we grow older, and each day we're a little bit older than the day before, we experience joys and also sorrows and concerns. And so in a moment, Karen is going to play some beautiful piano music for us. And when the music starts, I invite everyone, as they're willing or able, to get up and line up against the wall over there and come around front to where you see we have this beautiful basket of stones and sea glass and coral and things from the ocean. And when we dedicated this building last year, the people who came and helped us dedicate this building also held these stones and shells and sea glass for a moment and just blessed them, with their presence and their warmth, and put them back in the basket for us. So as you handle these stones and shells, you can think about, what blessings you might like to leave behind for us in the basket. And as you take them, you take as many or as few as you like to represent the joys and sorrows on your heart, and you leave them here in our beautiful glass chalice of water. And if you have a personal joy or concern that you'd like to share alongside the community joys and concerns that I will also be sharing, if you have a personal joy or concern you'd like to share, you can fill out one of those little slips of paper over there, and I can read your joy or sorrow or concern aloud for the congregation to share. This stone is for the coral reefs. Extremely high ocean temperatures, reaching over 90 degrees in the Florida Keys in the last few weeks, have led to mass bleaching events and death of coral reefs there. Dozens of marine species are dependent on those coral reefs for their survival. We mourn the loss of biodiversity to climate change, and we are grateful to those scientists who are working to preserve coral specimens. This stone is for the Tree of Life congregation in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who have made the decision to return to their synagogue. In October 2018, a gunman entered Shabbat services and killed 11 worshipers, the worst act of anti-Semitic violence in U.S. history. Since then, the building has sat empty, but now the congregation has decided to return and start using the building again. Rabbi Myers of that congregation said that the consensus was that we must return. If we don't, we give the message that evil won, because it chased us out of our building. We were with you, Tree of Life. May wisdom, justice, and love prevail. And now, a piece of glass for someone closer to home. Barbara Garrity Blake and her husband lost all their belongings in a fire that destroyed their van and musical instruments. We are very sorry for what has happened to Barbara and Brian, and hope that they're able to restore their lives quickly, although what has lost can never truly be regained. I invite everyone now to please join me in the spirit of prayer. To that great spirit of life, that which exists in the universe beyond our understanding, that great mystery, we draw you in with every breath, and we ask that you give us strength and courage to do what needs to be done. The strength and courage to slow climate change to save the coral reefs. The strength and courage to stand with Tree of Life as they continue on in their courageous stance against evil and hatred. The courage and strength to help Barbara and Brian. And we also ask you for the courage and strength to be the ones to ask for help, because in this life, we always need a hand. And that is part of what it means to be human. That is part of what it means to be in community, is that sometimes we are the helpers and sometimes we are the helped. So may we always have the strength and courage to be compassionate, to love others, and to also love ourselves. To know ourselves enough to say, I am the one who needs a hand. And to know when it is time for us to lend a hand. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be. Now we are going to sing our little ones just over to the next room, because the air conditioning is out in the center. And it is a hostile environment in there without air conditioning. And so we will sing the blessing song, and we'll sing the little ones out to an activity in the social hall. It's a blessing you were born, and it matters what you do, what you know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty love be what you do when you don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing I was born, and it matters what I do, what I know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty love be what I do when I don't now into a moment of silent contemplation. This time is yours to do with it what you wish. You can do some mindful breathing. You can sit in silent contemplation. You can work on your grocery list. This time is yours, because every week sometimes we forget to take time for ourselves. So this very next bit of time is a gift for you to use how you like. Now we have a reading today, which I'd like to invite Wes to come up and help me with. It's kind of in two parts. This is an excerpt from a fantasy novel by Terry Pratchett. The novel is titled The Hog Father. And this is a conversation between Death, that's Death up there with the skull for a face, and his human goddaughter, Susan. You can really see the resemblance. "All right," said Susan. "I'm not stupid. You're saying humans need fantasies to make life bearable."
Really? As if it was some kind of pink pill? No. Humans need fantasy to be human. To be the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape.
Tooth fairies, though, hog fathers, little...
Yes, as practice. You have to start out learning to believe the little lies.
What, so that we can believe the big ones?
Yes. Justice, mercy, duty, that sort of thing.
They're not the same at all.
You think so? Then take the universe and grind it down to the finest powder and sieve it through the finest sieve, and then show me one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy. And yet you act as if there is some ideal order in the world, as if there is some rightness in the universe by which it may be judged.
Yes, but people have got to believe that, or what's the point?
My point, exactly.
I've always wanted to use that as a reading in church. Thank you, Wes. So, I used to teach spirituality classes at the VA hospital. As some of you know, I worked as a chaplain in a VA hospital before I came here. And I would usually introduce these classes by talking about the material world versus the spiritual world. So the material world is the world that we experience with our five senses. It's a world that we taste, touch, smell, see, and hear. So the trees are part of the material world, and our bodies are part of the material world, and cars and rocks and the weather in Iceland and clouds and our pets and wheelchairs and, this building, all of these things are part of the material world. So what are some other parts of the material world? This is the participatory part. Food is part of the material world. That was really quick. All right, sorry. What else? Clothes are a material object. Any others? Books are also material objects, yes? Shelter? Yeah, shelter, buildings, apartment buildings, condos, houses, tents, boats. Music. Yeah, music is something that we hear. So even though we don't touch it, we don't think of it as a material object. It's something that we experience with one of our five senses. So that is part of the material world. Anything else? Those are all of our ideas? That's fine. I have the rest of the sermon to get to. So, all right, now we're going to talk about the spiritual world. So the spiritual world is made up of things that we don't necessarily experience with our five senses. So for instance, music is part of the material world. It's something that we hear, right, that we take in through our ears. But the feelings that music gives us, feelings of nostalgia or sadness or happiness or wanting to get up and dance, that's more of a spiritual thing. Things like justice and mercy that Death talked about in our little reading, right? He said, if you grind the universe down, can you show one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy? Love, compassion, God, a sense of purpose, our beliefs, our values, morals, concepts of gender and race. These are things that you can't touch, things that have no physical weight, and yet they are important to us. Without them, we can suffer, right? Without love, we suffer. Without justice or mercy, we suffer. Without a sense of purpose, we suffer. Without a sense of identity, who we are as people, we suffer. And each of us has an individual spirituality that differs from person to person. We each have a set of, let's say, beliefs and values, right? But we might believe in different things and value different things. So a lot of us raised our hands for the Time for All Ages earlier to say, like, I value family. But we might demonstrate that value in different ways, right? Like Kai, who talked about going to help her mom at the farmer's market for the Carteret food waste recovery, demonstrates that her mom is important to her in that way, while the others of us might do different things to demonstrate that family is important to us. We might go over and clean somebody's bathroom. Now let me tell you, that is an act of love from me. That is my least favorite chore, cleaning the bathroom. Things like that. And other people might value different things that you might not value at all. So for instance, one person might believe in the power of prayer to manifest a new reality here on earth, and another person might believe, no, that is not a real thing, that is a fictional thing. One person might value obedience to authority and see that as a moral good, that's part of being a good person, is obeying authorities. And someone else might say, I don't know, kind of depends on that authority and what they're telling me to do. We each have a sense of purpose, an idea of why we're here, but that might be different purpose depending on who you talk to. One person might believe that their purpose here on earth is to help others, and another might believe that their purpose is just to live a happy life, and helping people might figure into that or it might not. Now, in a Unitarian Universalist church, we don't tell you what your individual spirituality should be. That's not what we're about. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you what to believe, that you should believe in God or the Tao or the Eightfold Path. I'm not even going to tell you that you should read the Hogfather, although I think it's a great book. And I do highly recommend The Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. You can go ahead and write that down. I'm sure you can get it from your local library. I think his Discworld books are really good books, and they contain a lot of truth to them. And also another book that he wrote called Small Gods. You can write that one down too. Small Gods possibly changed my life. Anyway, but, I say all that, but I'm not going to expect you to just accept everything that I say. Because I know that one thing Unitarian Universalists in general, I'm not going to say that, some people don't disagree with this, but in general, Unitarian Universalists do not strongly value obedience to authority. Rather, Unitarian Universalists collectively tend to value independent thinking. And where that's reflected in how we're a pluralistic faith that draws wisdom from religions and faith traditions all over the world, and also science. And, the idea is sort of like, we can take pieces of truth from all of these different religions and create sort of a personal spirituality that works for the individual. And everyone is free to independently think and independently feel and come to their own conclusions about what they believe and value and think is moral or immoral, or what they think is their purpose in life. So then, that said, why come together in the community at all? If your spirituality is your own and we're all independent thinkers, then you don't actually need to go to church. Hold up, don't leave yet. Right? But, in theory it means that you could sleep in on Sunday morning and be spiritual on your own. You can go golfing or running or kayaking on Sunday morning instead and still be a spiritual person. Wikipedia exists. You can go on Wikipedia and read about all these different world religions, right? So a lot of people these days, including a lot of you, use, in fact, I don't love this about myself, but this is sometimes how I describe Unitarian Universalism, is that it's the religion for people who say, or it's the faith tradition for people who say, I'm spiritual but not religious. I will point out that almost always what someone means by that is that they're not Christian. Because when someone in the United States talks about being religious, or when they talk about religion in general, they usually just mean Christianity, which I think is a little bit unfair because there are more religions than Christianity. There's Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, just to name a few, right? I would say that I am very religious, but I am not Christian. I'm a minister, first of all, so that implies something about my religiosity right there. But also, I burn incense twice a day to my ancestors. So, yes, I'm religious. And I'm also deeply spiritual. They're not mutually exclusive conditions, although they can be. And my spirituality, my beliefs, my values, my sense of purpose, etc., all of those things has been deeply informed not only by traditional family practices, such as burning incense twice a day to my ancestors. Turns out you go through a lot of incense when you do that. Just so much incense. But my spirituality has also been deeply informed by Unitarian Universalism. So personal story time. This is a personal story. Years and years ago, before I was a Unitarian Universalist, I was not raised in this faith, I was on the fence about the death penalty. I was kind of like, I can see arguments for it and I can see arguments against it. Then I joined a UU congregation. And I started learning about and internalizing things about the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and learning about all these problems with our criminal justice system that is actually deeply unjust, kind of an oxymoron, really, and systemic racism and all of these things, and acquiring all these beliefs about, the importance of life and its mercy and etc. And then one day, I was sitting around thinking about the death penalty, as one does. And I found myself having a new thought. It was a new kind of thought that I had never consciously had before. And this new thought went, I guess, as a Unitarian Universalist, I cannot support the death penalty. And then I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, what happened? I've been brainwashed. But really what happened was that I allowed my faith to work on me and inform my beliefs, which is what it's supposed to do. I mean, that happens to us anyway, every day, all of us. Our identities, our beliefs, our values and morals, our spiritualities are shaped by the people and the environment around us. First, it's shaped by our families, and it's shaped by society and the communities that we're part of, because none of us form ourselves in a vacuum, really. So this idea that your spirituality is this individual thing that you arrive at as an individual isn't really the case, because none of us shape ourselves by ourselves. And that's the reason none of us should, I mean, not that it's really possible, be on our spiritual journeys alone. And why we need to be intentional about which communities we join. Because our spiritualities are very much informed by the people you hang out with. You know, if your coworkers like to drink and play pranks on each other and you hang out with your coworkers all the time, pretty soon you're going to find yourself drinking more and playing pranks. I mean, I'm not saying that's like a bad way to be, just that's a thing that's going to happen. If you hang out with a bunch of ethical vegans, you're likely to start eating less meat. I mean, first, you're not going to eat meat when your ethical vegan friends are around, right? The next thing you know, you're on your own and you're like, I don't need meat in this meal, right? It happens unconsciously, but you can also shape it consciously by being deliberate and intentional about your communities and what you take in and how you shape your life as a response to who you're around. And then, as we are shaped by our communities, we also shape our communities. We also change the communities that we are part of, because those spiritual concepts that we've been talking about, love, justice, mercy, morals, ethics, values, ideas around the divine, what is God, we create those things. We are the expression of those things in the world. We are how we transform those spiritual concepts into material concepts, like showing up to the farmer's market to help out someone you love. Like taking care of your pets, right? We create happiness, whether for ourselves or for other people. We create justice. Whatever justice looks like in this world, we are the ones who make it so. We are the purveyors of mercy. We are the ones who choose to forgive or not forgive. We define a God who is merciful and benevolent, or a God who is jealous and punishes. We create and enforce rules around gender, race, class, and ability. The spiritual world is as real as the material one, and we are the ones who make it so. And spiritual communities also teach us how to be part of something bigger than ourselves, bigger even than our families, right? It teaches us that our environments shape who we are and who we become, and that we in turn shape our environments. Whether you like it or not, we do have a responsibility to one another, and that is never more clear than when we are in community. Because if you're just hanging out by yourself, doing your own thing, I mean, you're free to do what you want. You can eat that whole pint of ice cream. But when you're part of a community, if say you have a family, that's around, well, you kind of need to leave some of that ice cream. You got to think about other people, right? And that can seem kind of like a drag, like, I really want to eat this whole pint of ice cream, but I can't because I have to leave some for my brother or, whatever. But what it means is that the community has a responsibility to you too. Your brother also cannot eat the whole pint of ice cream because he needs to leave some for you. You can tell him I said that. Just as you have a duty to your community to help the members of that community and help that community prosper and thrive, you are part of that community, and your community also has a duty to you to help you prosper and thrive. So a community helps us form our spiritualities, those values and beliefs, morals and ethics. And it's also where we learn our responsibilities and duties to one another. You know, when you grow up in a community that prioritizes justice, mercy, love, and compassion, you grow up to think, hey, yeah, those are just values that everybody has, right? You know, that just normal people have, that we all should have, and then you kind of want to shape the world to resemble that. So if you grow up in a community that prioritizes diversity, open-mindedness, inclusion, you grow up maybe to become the kind of person who thinks, yeah, the whole world should look that way. That's the way the world should look. And start shaping the world. And, you know, I think that community and things that come from community is something that we are sorely lacking these days as our lives become more and more individualized and atomized. As fewer people enter the military or join churches or join voluntary organizations like Rotary International or the Lions Club, and fewer people live near their families now. You know, more and more people live, you know, in cities far away from their grandparents or their cousins or their siblings. You know, they go where the job is. And as more of us find community or approximations of community online, you know, it's good. I'm not dissing that, like, as someone who has, you know, made some of my best friends online. It's also not quite the same, because online, you know, it's easy to just block people that you don't agree with or insult people whose faces that you don't have to see day after day after day, right? Week after week. It's not really, I don't think it's really a substitute for the kind of community that can be found in a church or in Rotary International or in your troop. And, you know, that's a shame, because we are social creatures and we are not meant to live alone. And we are the ones who make a spirit real, and we need help to do that. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I am. There is a love holding all. We rest in that love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in love. Okay, I'm going to ask you all to do something scary now, which is to look at someone else in the room and sing to them, "There is a love holding you." There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all that you love. There is a love holding all. You rest in Thank you, everybody. That was beautiful.
Here at Unitarian Coastal Fellowship, we share the contents of our offering plate every week with a charity or nonprofit chosen by the Social Justice Committee. For the month of August, we're sharing the plate with the Carteret Long-Term Recovery Alliance. This is a nonprofit, totally volunteer-led organization that helps people who sustain damages due to natural disasters. Almost 5 years after Hurricane Florence, they've helped close to 400 families, yet over 150 of these families still need assistance. I now invite the ushers forward to collect today's offering.
please join in blessing this offering with hymn number 402, From You I Receive. We'll sing it twice through. You I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Please join me now in reading the words on the screen behind me as we extinguish our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, in español. Extinguimos este ramo, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevemos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez. And now, please rise as you're willing and able for our closing hymn, number 1008 in the teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
I suppose that's one way to look at it.
We ran out of words.
We did run out of words.
The coda is a very beautiful thing.
All right, everybody, it's time to hold hands. If you're comfortable, if you're not comfortable holding hands, you don't have to. You can also touch a shoulder, grab an elbow. You can come here and stand. I'm coming. All right, everybody. My benediction for you this week is to simply make the world a holy place. May it be so. Amen.